everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here. Now today I've got this Better Press plate that is called Winter Rose Better Press Plate and Stencil Set. It's a combination. The stencil has 4 layers and they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and they've got nice little corner markings that show you where to lay them down on the panel. Now I've laid that down there, but it is upside down because when you press it, it will be in the reverse order and that's how it will lay on there. So this is kind of what it's going to look like when you lay it down on there, but you'll lay it on the piece of paper and it will be lined up perfectly. So I'm just showing you that, and there are 4 layers. And then I'm going to show you the other things that I have stacked up here. I did get a new set of Better Press inks, and I've got this Copper Plate Happy Holidays press plate. And then I've got a package of my cotton cardstock that you get when you buy your Better Press. And I'm using, I can't think of the name of it, but it's kind of got the gray tint to it. Not the white and not the cream, but the pebble, I think is what it's called. So I'm just going to take it and get my press plate, and I'm going to get it laid down on there, and we're going to do some pressing on here. So here's my press plate, and I laid the card down on there, but actually you're going to lay the plate on there first. And I'm telling you what, these big plates are hard to move once you get them laid down on there. I got a little bit crooked, and it was really hard to get off of there. And so I actually had to, I tried my other little tool, and it would not work. So I had to pick this thing up, turn it sideways, and just scrape with my fingernails to try and get it off of there because they really get on there tight. So now I'm going to try and really get it laid down on there correctly this time so that I don't have to fight with it. And I'm just going to go with it. And then I'll take my press plate, and I've got a little piece of tape on there. I'm going to pull it off, and I'm just going to get some tape, and I'm going to lay this piece of the cotton cardstock, and I think it's pebble, down on there. And I'm deciding which side I want to press into. And I'm just going to use my tape, and I put a little bit up at the top, and I know it's going to be in the way because this press plate is big. It's bigger, a little bit bigger than this panel that I've got here. I'm going to line it up, and then we'll ink this up. And at first I thought I might use one of those colors from that new set, but I'm just going to go straight with my black Better Press. And I was laying some other ones out thinking I might use them, but I'm just going to take this black and just get this all inked up on here. And I've got a bigger black, a full-size black. I should have opened it up and used it, but since this one was already open, I just decided to go ahead and just use the mini cube. So you'll see I'll be doing a bunch of tapping on here just to get it laid down nicely. And so we'll just tap, tap, tap until I feel like I've got good full coverage, and then we'll lay the plate on there and we'll run it through the press. So I'm just going to put the plate down on there. I'm going to get my ink covered up, and I'll grab my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine, and we're going to zoom out a little bit. Sorry, I shook the camera there. And we're just going to run this right through my Spellbinders Platinum 6, and we'll see what kind of results we get with it. And I'm just doing 1 press. I don't normally do 2 presses. I only do 1 with it. And I'm setting the machine out of the way, and we're going to open this up and take a look at it. So it looks pretty good. I see a little area there that needs to be pressed a little bit further. So I'm going to grab that mini ink cube and just hit that area that looked like it needed some more ink on it. And I decided to hit some other areas just in case, just kind of lightly go over most of it. And then we will give it another press. Now this is the first time I've ever had to do a second press. I've always had good success, but I think it's because it's such a big plate and I couldn't really tell where all I got it on. So I was a little bit nervous that the second press might actually mess it up, but I thought I've heard you've been able to do it more than once, so I'm going to give it a try and we'll see how it turns out. So we pull it off and it looks good. It's nice and dark in that spot that it where it was not before, and I've got good coverage. And I'm just going to take my alcohol and spray this plate down and just grab my paper toweling and just wipe this down. Just trying to clean everything up. I've tried really careful to keep this platen pretty clean. I found that if I get right after it, as soon as I do my pressing, I usually can get most of it off. There's a little bit of black on there, but I think for the most part I'm able to get most of it off and keep this pretty clean. Try to keep my tools and my craft room as clean as I can. I just can work better if things are nice and clean. So now I've got my panel, and I'm just going to pull it off. That tape on the top tore a little bit along the edge there, but I know I'll trim it down anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. We'll pull the tape off, and then we're ready to do some stenciling. So I'm going to bring in the stencil mat from Waffle Flowers and figure out how I want to lay it down in there. I think I need to go more towards the middle so that I can get the whole stencil on it, because the stencil is a little bit bigger than my panel there. And I'm just taking some pink pixie tape, and I'm going to just put a little tape on the back of it just to keep my paper from moving. And I'm going to get stencil 1, and once you've pressed it, you're going to lay it with the one facing up in the lower left-hand corner and just get it lined up. Now, I will take a minute to try and get it lined up nice and neat, to make sure that I've got it as close as I can. And I might have been a hair off because I had a little bit of white showing when I get done stenciling, but I was okay with it. I thought it looked fine, and it was definitely very usable. So I'm just looking at those flowers, and I'm looking, at top, bottom, middle, side, everything, just to make sure I've got it lined up in all directions. I felt like it was good, so I put my hand on there to hold it down and added some more pixie tape, just so that it won't move on me at all. And I really had in mind that I wanted to do blue flowers because it's a winter rose. And when I think of winter, I think of blue, and I think of icy blue and white and icicles and stuff like that. So I'm going to get my blue ink pad. And what I'm using here is Prize Ribbon. It's a pretty dark blue, and that's what I was going for. If I'd had a navy blue, I would have used it, but this was the darkest blue that I had. And so I'm just using my blue blending brush, and I'm just covering all of these roses with this blue color. And I think it'll look nice with that pebble cotton cardstock that I've pressed this on. And so we'll just get all these inked up, and then we'll move on to our next layer. And this is going to be a Christmas card because I am going to use that holiday, Happy Holidays press plate. And so this is going to be a Christmas card, and I think it'll be very pretty. I'm real pleased with how this all comes together. And I am enjoying having a press plate and a matching stencil. So I'll be looking out for some more of those to use in the future, because I think it's a really great way to get a very pretty card. So there, I've got all my ink blending on my blue flowers. I can see a little white edge on there. And then I'm going to take the next layer, and I'm just going to get it lined up on there. And I'm just looking for a reference point, just a leaf to start lining it up, and then I can shift it around from there. If I'd used a bigger panel, I could have lined it up with the marks in the corners of the paper, but since I didn't have a panel that big, I had to actually line it up with the flowers and the leaves. So I've got that, and I'm just going to grab a couple of different greens because I want to have some variation of color of my leaves. So I grabbed my mowed lawn and my pine needles, and I started off with a mowed lawn because I wanted a lighter color of leaves, and then I wanted a darker color of leaves. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just laying this down, and I think the mowed lawn is like a yellow green, and then the pine needles is more like a blue green. And I think it all looks okay together. So we'll just get these all blended up, and then we will cover that up, and we'll move on to our next color and our next layer. So we'll bring in the third layer of stencils, and I'm just piling them up here. I will take them and use some Dawn dishwashing liquid and clean them off so that they'll look brand new. And I'm going to line up stencil number 3, and we'll just keep going. And this is some more leaves, and there are some finer, smaller leaves on this particular stencil here. So I'm going to bring in that tape and reuse it. And I did the lightest color first because I'm using the same blending brush. And now I'm just going to go into the darker green with that same blending brush and just get it laid down on there. And you can see this kind of has more of a blue-green tone to it. And I think since my flowers are blue, I think the blue-green tone will look fine with it, even with the yellow-green as well. Now there are some little flowers on here, and I thought about just putting my finger over to cover that up, but I'm going to actually bring in some tape. And I could get around the other flowers, but this particular one here was so close to that flower that I felt like I needed the tape to just mask it off. So that's what I did. And then I'm going to just wipe up some of this green because I'm going to be bringing in my blue blending brush one of my blue blending brushes. Boy, that's hard to say. And a little lighter blue. So I'm going to go grab some of those. And I think I went with speckled egg here. And I just laid it down because it was a lighter color. And I thought I'll do the centers of these buds with the lighter blue, and then I'll do the bottoms of them with the darker blue on the next stencil. So I just bring in the next stencil and lay it down, and I'm just going to bring that prize ribbon back in and use it. So we'll get our stencil lined up. This is layer 4, and we'll just get to blending. And we are almost there with all of our blending on this. And I zoomed out for the die cutting, and I didn't zoom back in, so hopefully you can see everything all right, even though we are zoomed out a bit. And I'm just bringing that prized ribbon and getting the back sides of those buds colored in, and then that'll finish up our stenciling. It's pretty warm here today, and the air conditioner is kicked in, and I was just talking with my dad and Lisa, and we're supposed to have, I guess, some rounds of storms tonight that could be up to 75 miles per hour of wind. So we're going to have to make sure we batten down the hatches. Is this not gorgeous or what? I do like that pebble colored cardstock that I chose, that cotton cardstock, and I think it turned out really pretty. I hope you like it. So what I'm going to do now is bring in my copper plate, Happy Holidays press plate. And I'm going to grab my Better Press plates and my die cutting machine, and we're going to make a sentiment for this card. And I'm going to use the same pebble cotton paper because I want it to match. I didn't feel like the white or the cream would look right with this since I used the pebble colored. And it's a shame, but I'm going to use a whole sheet. But I will cut it away and save some of that, and hopefully I can get some more sentiments on the other half of that because you don't want to waste this. So I'm going to lay, my Happy Holidays down on here. And for some reason, I always want to lay that paper down first. I think it's because I'm so used to the die cutting machine. You put your paper down and then you die. And then we're going to lay this pebble cardstock down on this press plate. And I've got to get it lined up better. So I'm just lining it up so I know that I'm on the center of that. And then I'm going to bring in Cosmic Sky. And that was one of them that came in the new set that I've got. And I'm going to press that with Cosmic Sky. Now, I did use prized ribbon on my blending, but this Cosmic Sky, I think is what, do I choose? I'm not sure. Do I decide to go with the Cosmic Sky paper? I think I consider the Cosmic Sky cardstock for the back of this panel. But anyway, we're going to use the Cosmic Sky and do our sentiment. And I was pleasantly surprised that it did blend very nice with the prized ribbon. It wasn't too far off that I felt like it wasn't dark enough. So you can see I've got all my little ink pads off to the side there, and I'm just getting the lids on them, and I'm going to clean everything up. I've got a little bit on the edge there, and I just don't want to waste that cardstock by getting some of that on there. So we've got it ready. We're going to bring the die cutting machine back in. I'm getting my exercise, dragging that thing in and out, and then I'm just going to run it through once and see what kind of a press we get on it. We'll get the die cutting machine out of the way, and we're getting ready to do the big reveal. And it looks fantastic. This sentiment is huge. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with it? It's so big. But you'll see, I'm going to clean this up again, and we'll put everything away. So I got my base cleaned up and put everything away. And now I'm just going to trim this down because I want to save this bit of cotton cardstock here so that I can use it more with my Better Press. And I didn't quite get it cut straight, so I went ahead and cut it again. And then I'm looking at it and realizing how big this is if you don't do something. I mean, look how much of that pattern. And I'm like, nope, it's not going to cover up that much of that beautiful background panel that I have. And so I just grab my scissors and I just start fussy cutting. So I'm just going to fussy cut this sentiment out, and we're going to put it on our card. And I think it's going to be beautiful. This is a beautiful, very scrolly, pretty sentiment. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and it's got all the scrolls and all the swirlies, and it's lovely. And so I really liked it. So I'm just going to real quickly fussy cut it out, and then we'll get it on our panel. I can tell you I'm going to be using this press plate again and doing some different colors and using this particular sentiment here. They'll look very similar, but we're going to have different colors for sure because I am in love with this press plate and this stencil set. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So we'll just finish cutting this out, and then we'll eyeball it and see how it looks on our background panel. And it really wasn't hard to fussy cut at all. So I'm just kind of straighten it up and lay it down on there. I love it. I think it's going to work out great. Now I just need to trim this down because I've got a little tear there from my tape, and I've got to find some background paper, cardstock. So this is where I'm bringing in the Cosmic Sky Spellbinders cardstock, and I'm also bringing in Fern. And I'm in a dilemma because I like them both. And I go back and forth and trying to decide which one I want to use. And I think I even choose to cut them down and try to figure out which one I want to use because I just cannot decide what I'm going to do. So first I'm going to grab my panel because I know I need to cut it down. And I'm just going to bring my trimmer in and we're just going to cut it down. And I think I wind up taking 1/4 inch off of both directions. And first I laid it in there wrong, and then I was like, wait a minute, the other side's the one that I had the little tear. So I'm going to cut that off. And it didn't look like it lined up very well. So I'm going to line it back up. This time I'm going to hold the plastic thing there, and then I'll get a better cut on it. So there we go. And then I'm going to trim it down to 4 inches, I think. So we'll have a 4 by 5 1/4. We'll just have 1/4 inch extra, so we can have 1/8 of an inch on each side, I think is what I do. And we've got our panel, and it looks lovely, and I think the Happy Holidays sentiment looks beautiful on there. And I've just got to make a decision on this paper. So I did wind up cutting it down to A2 size panel so I could look at it. And I think I decided to go with the green instead of this Cosmic Sky. At first I wasn't sure. I was leaning toward the blue, but I thought there's less green in the panel on the leaves, and so I thought it would just kind of bring that green out. So I'm going to bring in an A2 top folding card base. I'll score it at 5 1/2, and then we'll just get it folded over, and this will be our card base. That's Hammer Mill 110-pound cardstock that I use. And I'm just going to start layering up my card. I'm going to bring in my bone folder because I always get a better press with that. I usually like to run at least one of those down. Run my bone folder across at least once. And I've got my Sweet Petunia glue press. I'm just going to glue it up. And we'll get this laid down on a card base. And then we'll layer up that beautiful background panel and get our sentiment added to it. And this is a quick card. In all, with the pressing and the fooling around with the paper and everything that I did, and showing the materials from start to finish, it was 34 minutes. I did speed it up 2 times, and I did cut out when I walked away from the desk to grab something so that the video wouldn't be as long. But in total, it took me 34 minutes from start to finish on this card, and I think it's a very pretty card. So I think I could easily duplicate these and have some beautiful holiday cards. And I'm just going to lay it down flat. I'm going to mail all my holiday cards. So I'm just going to lay it down nice and flat. We're not going to have a lot of dimension here, but we've got a lot of beauty. I think it's really beautiful. Now I'm just going to grab some embellishments. I've got a little plastic piece that I have a bunch of embellishments in, so I'm just going to grab it. And I found some that looked like they were going to be the right blue color. These are actually Pink and Main enamel dots, and I'm just going to use some of these to adorn my Happy Holidays sentiment there, because there is some open space in there. And I'll bring 3 of these in and just fill in some of that space and add an additional bling to the card. And I think it turned out really pretty. I'm very satisfied. It was a lot of fun to work with, and I enjoyed working with a stencil. Don't do that a lot, so it was fun. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.